Here's a cartoon which I'll read. It says, "Do you think we'll be together when school starts, Samantha?" And Samantha says, "No way, Matt. Boys channel their bored restlessness into destructive behavior, while girls internalize theirs with the resultant loss of self-esteem. I mean, will we have the same teachers? Not that it matters." It does matter. Now, you can't see, but that cartoon was written in 1993, more than 20 years ago. The cartoonist understands that boys and girls are different. Why don't teachers? But we tend to look at children in school as all the same, and the children who look different, we treat differently, rather than trying to fit school to their needs. So let's start at the beginning. Boys are less ready for school. This is, if you look at research around the world, and I will quote to you today research from literally all over the world, because number one is poor language acquisition skills. That's the very first thing that we look at. Boys don't have a lot of clarity with language. They don't hear it well, they don't speak it well. We complain about the fact that boys don't pay attention. They don't seem to focus on what we're doing. Too much activity, we say. Boys don't remember. Well, some of that is they don't hear. You complain about the fact, you say, well, my men I know don't listen to me. Yeah, I know. That's right, they don't. Some of that is biological, but most of it is learned. And their recall is not based on episodic memory. We're going to talk about exactly what that means in a little bit. And then they have a lack of organization. So those are the complaints we have about boys in school. In fact, if you went down that list and said, what are girls' strengths? You'd find them right there. They have good language acquisition skills. They can focus themselves well and pay attention. They have good memory, particularly for episodic, and they're very well organized. So just because boys are not that doesn't mean they can't learn. It means they learn in different ways. And boys tend to believe that school is too feminine. Well, why should they think that? Look around. I'm sorry, here I am a woman talking about teaching boys. I've taught in boys' schools most of my life, so I have been yes sir'd more times than I'd like to admit. It's okay, I don't mind. All right, now let's talk about how boys think about school. In general, what you'll find is that boys think ability is more important than effort. In other words, if I'm smart, I'm good, I don't have to work. So what happens is, if they fail a test, it's not their fault, it's yours, because you asked the wrong questions. I know, you're shocked. Research supports this. They overestimate their academic competence. They think even when they're going to fail, you ask a boy how he's going to do on a test, and he's going to tell you, oh, just fine, I'm going to do great. And you know he's not going to do well. Have you studied? Oh, I don't need to study, I understand it. Yeah, right. A lot of this has to do with boys' competitive nature. They tend to think about math and science as sports, as something for men only. Now, I was fascinated. I was in South Africa several years ago, and they asked me to talk about one of my other favorite topics, is the problems that girls have with math and science. And I said, your girls know about this? He said, the man I was talking to said, yep. I said, even girls who don't have access to the internet? Right. This mistake has come through. You're going to have other people talk to you tomorrow about the fact of math, the problems with math, but please know there is no research that supports the notion that girls have more trouble in math than boys. There is no research. Girls can do math just as well as boys can. No question about it. But girls who go to a girls' school tend to do better in math. What's interesting is in 1900, the idea was that girls were supposed to take math and science because they were practical, they could use them. Whereas boys took the really hard stuff, philosophy, literature. Those are what got you into Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Cambridge, and Oxford. And we poor women just needed practical stuff like math. All right, and then we have a problem. Mark Twain wrote a story about a young man who convinced other people to paint a fence for him. Boys are really good at that. Most of the people that get to paint their fences these days are their parents. Oh, I can't do this, it's too much trouble, it's too hard, and so mom steps in and does his work for him. And the more she does, the less he does. Convincing parents that the worst thing you can do for your son is to pick up the pencil and help him with work. The best thing you can do is to say, sit down and do it.